It is my great honor and privilege to stand here in front of all of you. I love speaking to young people. So I'm thrilled, and I'm very thrilled to see a lot of young men in the audience. Normally women empower, if there is anything called women empowerment, men will stay away from it. So I'm very happy to see men, because I think women empowerment cannot happen without the other half of the population being aware of its importance and supporting that process. All the women know that the empowerment actually not only depends on themselves, also depends on the support they receive from the men in the surrounding, in their workplaces, in their families, and everywhere. So I'm very happy to see men in the audience. It is my honor to be here with the anniversary of the Lakkaraju Seshakumari Madam's birthday, and I much obliged to Rajesh Kamiredi Garu of Shankuratri Foundation, Lakkaraju Satyanarayan Garu, and JNT UK Vice Chancellor Prasad Garu, and also I'm very happy to be here speaking in the presence of Sumalata Garu and Deepthi Garu. Thanks a lot. You must be tired from hearing all the speeches. Are you ready for one more? Vinledi. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yes, it is a different kind. That is true. You know, so many people said such amazing words about Seshakumari Garu. But what she is most known for is not the fact that whether she got great marks, whether she came first in class. We don't know all that. That is not what she is known for. What she is known for is her public service. Kada? Is that correct? It is because she served people way beyond her own family. At the same time, she did everything she needed to take care of her own family, become financially independent before she went out and served the public. Is that correct? Yeah. So those are the kind of footsteps. I didn't even know about her, but I can honestly say that those are the kinds of footsteps that I have been following. My own journey, just like every one of you seated here, I come from a lot of privilege. Everybody understands what is privilege? Okay. Out of every 100, not even 20% make it to college. Not even 20% make it to college. Not even 10% go to work and earn money. Educated and earning money is not even 10%. Because so many girl children die of feticide, infanticide, drop out of school, forced to drop out of school, forced to drop out of high school, not enrolled in college, married early. After marriage they have to stop working. After children they have to stop working. So to sit here in JNT UK, any of you, whether you're a teacher or whether you're a student, you and I are an extremely privileged class. Kada, would you agree? And that privilege only has meaning if we do something for the people with less privilege. Otherwise, there is no difference between us and animals. Animals are wonderful because they are self-unaware. If we also live like that, then there is no difference between us and animals. The only reason to have privilege in this world, to have more than another human being, to be able to eat at better places, to be able to afford better things, to come here and stand in front of this audience, is to give back. Otherwise, I think my life is meaningless. I was born in an upper middle class family in Madras. I did my engineering. Yes? How many of you want to finish and go and work? How many of you students want to finish and go earn? How many of you? Raise your hands, please. How many of you want to finish your engineering, get a job and earn money? Very good. Very good. Will you make it happen? Will you make the dream happen? Yes. It's wonderful to be financially independent. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to earn your own money. There has not been a time in my life where I have not earned my own money. Even when I was in school, I was doing odd jobs and earning money, even though I came from a well-to-do family. Because of that, I am able to do some things, and I'm going to share a little bit of that journey with you. Because of that, I'm able to give back to society, and I'm going to tell you the joy of doing that, and that is why I gave up my job and I'm dedicating myself to doing this full time. Can you play the movie, please? Video clip. Idu kadandi. Video clip. That one.
आ 1 लीटर पानी ले लूं, हमने 10 किलोमीटर बोलना, कहना देखबो तुम।
आज हमार गुड़िया हमार बिया में आयल बिया, कैसे देखबा तू?
हम घन पात छी पर घरों के कागज में नहीं छी, केना देखबा तो?
हमारे स्कूल में लड़कियों के लिए शौचालय आज भी एब्सेंट है, कैसे देखोगे तुम?
रोटी के बदला फेर बेलते खेलिए, कोना देखबा तू?
फेरू कॉलेज के रास्ता में जबरन लिफ्ट देवे खातिर आ गई, कैसे देखबा तू?
Slides పెట్టండి. What does the film mean? Do you agree with the film? Do you agree? Yes. Imagine walking into your classroom and there are 100 boys sitting and only 2 of you girls are walking in. Would you be comfortable? Tell me honestly. Same JNT UK. Would you be comfortable? No. You know, MP Vangagita madam was just here. She walks into a parliament every day where there are 450 men and only 78 women. Every day in her workplace, which is the parliament, the Lok Sabha, there are 450 men sitting and there are just 78 women. Imagine walking into a train compartment where there are 100 men sitting and 10 of you girls are walking in. I wouldn't go in. Would you? I wouldn't go in, right? And yet most of the public places, especially in politics, are dominated by only men. In fact, if a man walked into a Vidhan Sabha that had 400 women, he will wonder if he's in the wrong place. Correct? He'll say, women's meeting, kada? Like that he will say. Because if a group of women are sitting, it's women's meeting. But if a group of men are sitting, it's politics. Right? That is the reason that Shakti exists. Shakti is not an NGO. We don't have a bank account. We don't have an office or a building. It is a citizens' movement, a citizens' collective. People coming together to volunteer for the cause, and volunteers can come from anywhere, be of any age, speak any language, and spend any amount of time. I often like to say, you don't need to marry Shakti, you can speed date Shakti. In today's parlance, you can speed date Shakti. If you only have a weekend, you can volunteer for a weekend. If you only want to volunteer for a campaign, you can volunteer for a campaign. It is a group of men and women who have come together to increase women's representation in politics. That is our goal. We are not affiliated with any political party. I often like to call the laws that are made in Vidhan Sabha and Lok Sabha not as legislation but man-gislation, because it is passed by a manliament or man-assembly. There are very, very, very few women and they are not consulted. Do you remember when GST was brought? Do you remember what was unusual about the GST? Yes? There was 0% tax on Coca-Cola, 0% tax on bindis and pottus, and 16% tax on sanitary napkins. How smart people must be to do that. Now recently, when COVID shutdown was announced in 2020, March 25th, again, sanitary napkins, contraceptives were not classified as essential commodities. This is not rocket science. Women are not smarter than men. Men are not smarter than women. We just live different lives. Even in the same house, even in the same city, inside the same bus, inside the same classroom, inside the same J&UK buildings, we live different lives. And everybody's lived experience is important. If you ask me to make laws about fisherwomen, I don't know. I have never lived a fisherwoman's life. I don't know what her challenges are. I have not lived a fisherman's life. I don't know what their challenges are. I can go speak to them, but even better would be to get input from people who are actually living that life. And if there are enough number of such people in a representative democracy, we must have representation. 50% population is women, 50% voters are women. Therefore, the parliament should be 50% women, right? So this is my background for the last 10 years. I have been running various campaigns, and I am speaking to you from that experience as an ordinary citizen who runs campaigns. I'm not a celebrity or a famous person. I have run campaigns as part of Citizens for Bengaluru. I'm one of the co-founders on urban issues, civic issues, public transport, decentralization, ward committees. Similarly, I founded Political Shakti for women's representation. Andhra Pradesh lo, you have more female voters than male voters. Actual count. Although there are less women than men, slightly less women than men due to female feticide and infanticide, there are more female voters than male voters. Female voting percentage also is greater than male voting percentage. And panchayat level, you have 50% women. But the minute you go to assembly or parliament, the number of women completely drops. And Rajya Sabha lo nominated, you have 0 women from Andhra Pradesh. Let's take a minute to see why and what Shakti has been doing about it. This is the same story across India. Andhra Pradesh is not unique. Unfortunately, this is the same story across all of India. You may not be able to see it properly. This is panchayat level. The purple color is women. Lot of women. Blue color is men. Lot of equal number of men and women almost. You know why? Why at the panchayat level there are so many women? Elected representatives. Anybody knows? Reservation. Because of reservation, you have set aside positions for women, so there are so many women. We're not talking about whether they are good or not. We know how good the men are. We know how good the women are. We have a lot of work to do in this country. Correct? We have a lot of work to do in this country. But by the time you come to state assemblies across India, and the first is Andhra Pradesh, it becomes very, very, very small. This is historically women from Andhra Pradesh gone to the Lok Sabha. Before 2014, before the Vibhajanam, it is a combined state. Afterwards, it is only Andhra Pradesh. At the top, you see how percentage of men. At the bottom is the percentage of women. Although 50% population is women, so few women historically have been sent. So you may think maybe women don't win elections. Maybe that is why they don't, put women on the ballot. That is why women are not given candidate tickets to stand for election. Our yellow line female winnability, pink line, male winnability. Chudandi, every single election, 71, before 71 the data is not available in the election commission. Every single election, women have won at a higher rate than men. You are all engineers here, kada? For every 100 women and 100 men, more women win than men. Okay? Which means what? Voters want to vote women. Very simple. For every 100 women, you stand for elections, and every 100 men, you stand for elections. From the beginning of time, election kaadu, election kaadu. Since 1971, every single election, women win at a greater rate than men. This is pure science. This data you will not see anywhere. Maybe because I come from an engineering background, this is the first thing that shocked me. I went to the Election Commission website. When I was starting to work on this, I did my research. I looked at the data. This is what the data says. Okay, that is not just Andhra Pradesh. This is all of India. This is all of India from 1957 elections, all states that are available. The purple is women, pink is men, winnability rate. Every single election, purple is bigger than pink. Women have won at a greater rate across India. Not just Andhra Pradesh voters, all voters across India want to elect women. They prefer women candidates on average. Voting percentage, again, women is blue. It used to be very low. Women have started voting in higher and higher percentage. Now they are voting at a greater rate than men. But if you look at MPs in parliament, it has not increased like this. It is still like this. Look at the voting percentage increase and look at the representation increase. It has not increased much. So this is the reason we formed Shakti. Martin Luther King, the civil rights liberator of African Americans in America, once made the statement that the arc of the moral universe may be long, but it ultimately bends towards justice. What that means is morality, doing the right thing. Inside the universe, that arc, that journey is a long journey before justice comes. But ultimately justice will come. We must believe. I want to change that quote a little bit. The arc of the moral universe is long. It will not automatically bend towards justice. We must help it bend. 70 years are done. If we go on sitting, we will go on sitting. Independence one day, people just didn't sit and wait. For how many years did they fight for independence? Who wants to say how many years was the independence movement? Speak loudly. Somebody needs to bring samosas for them. How many years? More than 100 years. 1857 was the recorded mutiny. Around that time, 1947, we got independence. Nearly more than 100 years. Different people across the country kept on pushing before it happened. They didn't just sit and say, one day the British will go. Same thing is true for this. So today, people are saying, there are no women in politics because women are not interested in politics. Idanta oka myth. Idanta oka, they are trying to fake news, right, that we hear. This is fake. This is what the party, this is just examples. This is what the party website advertises. You go to Wikipedia, you go to the party website, they will tell you that this is just an example. Every party will tell you they have lakhs and crores of women members. But they will also tell you, if you speak to them, there are no women. That is why we don't have women in politics. They will also say that, what did I do? They will say women are dummies. Somebody said that. Women are there for reservation, but it is only the men that run behind it. Don't you have sons and nephews? Ikkada Andhra Pradesh lone kaadu. Every state has no then do we talk about that? So it is okay to be son, it is okay to be nephew, it is okay to be son-in-law, it is okay to be brother-in-law, but you must not be daughter or wife. Then that is wrong. You think the son doesn't consult the father? You think the son is running a completely different party than the father? No, he is doing exactly what the father wanted, if the father is alive. If he is not alive, he was continuing in the same path. He is not creating a new path. The fact is, Andhra Pradesh alone has 78,000 today, right now, as we speak. There are 78,025 elected women in Panchayat in Andhra Pradesh. Across India, if you add that up, in the past 2.5 decades, there are more than 1 crore women who have been elected. You are all engineers. If 10%, if you tell me 90% are useless, I will call you sexist, but that's okay. Even if only 10% are useful, that is 7,800 women who can be given tickets. If only 1% is useful, how many women will that be? 780 women. You only have 25 constituencies, which means every constituency, every party can give tickets to women. Do they do it? No. You don't see women candidates at all. I asked you how you would feel if you walk into a compartment, train compartment full of men. Every election, women go into a polling booth and look at the ballot. There are 25 names. 90% of the names will be male names. Even if you look at competence, there is plenty of data to show that women actually do a better job, at least an equal job, and this is on average. There will always be people who do a great job. There will be people, and this is also something you would have learned in your technology and science. If you take a large enough set of data, you will see that there is average performers, below average performers, above average performers, and 10% of extraordinary performers. So the point is that there is always excuses being thrown as to why women are not in politics. But all the data shows the opposite. Women perform well. Women are highly winnable, more winnable than men. Women are interested. They go join political parties. But political parties do not field women. They don't make them candidates. They don't give them tickets. They don't let them stand for elections. This is the percentage of women who are fielded. Usually it is less than 10%, average, especially the big parties. So we have already talked about this. This is the reason that I started Shakti. It's a volunteer group, it's a group activity. And I'll give you another 5 minutes about what Shakti does. Shakti is not affiliated with any political party, and we realize that there is no single road to success. Just like with the independence movement, and the independence movement is by inspiration. You cannot say, this group got us independence, that group got us independence. Yes, Gandhi and Nehru and many others along with them fought very, very hard. But there were a lot of people before that, 100 years before that, that were also fighting. And everybody needs to push a little bit of that big boulder before it moves, that big rock before it can go uphill. I derive inspiration from that same movement. There is not one trick to make women's representation go from this to 50%. We have to try everything. We have to work with political parties, not just oppose them, work with them to increase the tickets, number of women they field. We have to create voter awareness. That is why Shakti made that film. That film that you saw is just an 80-second film. It can be WhatsApped. That film and the whole Bihar campaign that we ran for the Bihar elections just won the Cannes Film Festival Award, Gold Prize. It just won. And this was made by ordinary volunteers, by crowdsourcing money. So because we believe that we have to work with women candidates, we have to work with MPs for women's reservation, we have to work with parties for getting tickets, we don't know what will click. So I'm going to describe to you what we did in Bihar that won the award. There are a lot of campaigns that we have run. We ran it for the Lok Sabha. We ran it for many of the Vidhan Sabha elections. We've done public events, seminars. We've done roundtables. We've done it in Delhi. We've done it in Bangalore, where I am from. We've done it across. We've done it in Chennai. We've done it across. In fact, one of the very first Shakti campaigns was supported by VFSTR, the Vignan University here in Andhra Pradesh. Many of the students participated in the call campaign. This is the call campaign I'm talking about. We called this was historic. Never before in the history of India has every MP in the country been called. Every member of parliament was called by volunteers, ordinary volunteers. Some of the volunteers are students like you, some of them are working like me in IT, some of them are bankers, some of them are farmers, some of them are tribals. We called the MPs and said, when will you table the women's reservation bill? In the history of India, this has never happened, that on the same day, volunteers across India picked up the phone during Lok Sabha in the evening when the parliament was in session and asked them this. That is not all. The next morning, the MPs went into parliament and raised that question. Citizens asked, and MPs went into parliament, carried our voice there and asked the government to table the women's reservation bill. This is the power when citizens unite. And this is the power we want to use to move the ball. We have done social media campaigns. These are all supposed to be fun campaigns. We have done social media campaigns. We have run nationwide surveys and published results. We have joined hands with many organizations across India because no one group can accomplish this. It's a very big thing to accomplish. We have had many key people endorse us, stand up for us and say, yes, we also believe in this, we are going to do it. We have done street campaigns across 16 cities and districts and 20 districts in India. We have stood on the street carrying placards, marching. We've done it all the way from Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala to Delhi to Ahmedabad in Gujarat, of course in Hyderabad, in many cities and states. But we could not do any of that for the Bihar campaign. When the Bihar election was announced, it was COVID time. It's not coming up. It was COVID time, so you cannot gather people, you cannot get on the street, we cannot even approach parties and ask them. These are the street campaigns in so many cities, in Bhubaneswar, in so many cities we have had street campaigns. These are all things we've done, and these are, as ordinary citizens, like I was saying, MPs actually raised this issue in Parliament the day after we called them. As ordinary people with no celebrities, we have earned a lot of media, meaning because the campaign is creative, media comes and covers it. Why is that important? Not because of my name or face, because every Eenadu paper chuste, lakhs of people will read it every day. If I do a campaign in Hyderabad, you don't even know about it. If it comes in Eenadu, lakhs of people will know about it. What will they know? They know that people are demanding women's representation, that women's representation is so low. This issue needs to be highlighted. This issue needs to be brought to the center. Every election, what happens on TV, what he said, what she said, that is the kind of what this party did, that party did. Same thing goes again and again. Nobody talks about the real issues. One of the biggest issues is lack of women. The government says we will become 5 trillion economy, 10 trillion economy. With 10% women in labor force, can you become even a 5 trillion economy, you tell me? Is it possible mathematically? Is it possible? Half the talent, 50% of the country's talent is not being utilized to work, is not being utilized for political decision making. How can we become a major superpower? How can we become a $1 trillion economy? Is it even possible mathematically? Yes? Not possible. So it is extremely important for citizen movements to get media, because a lot of people will become aware of it. And because of this, India Today, it could be India Today, it could be NDTV, it could be Eenadu, it could be papers in Bihar, it could be Maharashtrian papers, Malayalam papers, Tamil papers. Everywhere this issue has been highlighted. we make it a point that during elections this issue must come to the front. We do have some success. For the first time in the history of India, we have the highest number of women in parliament, much higher than ever before. But it is still very, very low. We do have some success. We have Trinamool Congress, when we ran the campaign in Bengal, 40% tickets were given to women. 40% of all candidates are women. That is huge. We did see some success. 33% of all BJD candidates in Odisha were women. These are all huge things that we did. But the Bihar campaign, because of COVID, we could not get on the streets and we could not do any of the usual things, meet political parties, give them a petition. So what did we do? We needed to come up with something creative. You can only do things online. But most people are not online. Most ordinary men and women don't have a smartphone. They are not on Twitter, they are not on Facebook, they are not on Instagram. So how do we reach them? How do we make sure this issue becomes front and center? We ran an Aadhe Hum, Aadha Hamara, half is us, half is ours campaign. What we did was we joined hands with many, many local Bihar NGOs, grassroots NGOs, and then we approached the panchayat leaders in Bihar, the women panchayat leaders in Bihar, and we said, this is COVID, you cannot come outside, you take a piece of paper, you write on that paper, I want 50% women candidates. Every political party in this Bihar election in 2022 field 50% women candidates. Why should the panchayat leaders do it? Because Okokka panchayat leader, behind every panchayat leader, you have about 1,500 voters, right? If you have won a panchayat election, you have 1,500 votes with you. So if you say it, if you demand it, the voice becomes very powerful. If just Shakti demands it, it doesn't mean anything. So we joined hands with about 100, 140 local NGOs. So the demand gets amplified. And we ran it on social media. Then to further amplify the demand, we approached the panchayat leaders and the mukhyas. They called mukhyas, not sarpanch, they called mukhyas in Bihar. We approached the women and said, will you hold a placard and take a photo and send it? Saying that, I am Prabhavati Devi, ward member, and I demand, मैं मांग करती हूँ कि विधानसभा चुनाव में महिलाओं को 50% टिकट दी जाए. I demand that 50% of the tickets be given to women. We started this. 10 selfies came, 100 selfies came, 1,000 selfies came, thousands of selfies came. The men in the panchayat started sending selfies. The male panchayat leaders started sending selfies saying, we demand 50% women in the Bihar election. It went viral. After that, we wanted to make it even bigger. All the women MLAs, the few women MLAs who were there, they started demanding. And then we released the film that you just saw so that all voters can see it. So when this whole campaign ended, and then we were able to, it got sent by one of the agencies that picked up the campaign. They sent this whole thing. We got tremendous amount of media coverage for it. And in the Bihar media and in national media, the real result was that for the first time in history, JDU, the biggest party, gave 19% tickets to women. Every party gave, the average was 3% more, but JDU gave 19% tickets to women. It's not 50, but 19 is still way bigger than the usual 5 and the 8. And when the campaign ended, the agency sent the campaign to the Cannes Film Festival, which is where we won the gold. You can see Shakti's logo there and 2 silvers. So it's absolutely thrilling because the competition is people like Amazon and Google. They have millions of dollars of budget to run campaigns. You have people like Shah Rukh Khan endorsing them, right? You see Shah Rukh Khan's face saying buy Cadbury's. And then you have somebody like us, a group of volunteers with no bank account, not even a registered NGO, able to run a campaign, able to increase the number of tickets given to women, able to increase women's representation by small amounts, and then also the campaign being recognized globally. So that is where I would like to conclude my presentation. I want to say as the last thing that never give up, and you need to, if you go in a plane, you will have a warning up there that says, wear your own oxygen mask first before you help the other person. If the plane has some turbulence, or God forbid if there is an accident, first you should wear your own oxygen mask before you try to help the person sitting next to you. Otherwise you won't be able to breathe. You cannot help the person. First you must study well, graduate, stand on your own 2 feet, earn your money, and then surely use your privilege to do something for the rest of the world. Thank you very much.